everybody, this is Heather Sides. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Spokane, Washington, and this is Lucy, and she's my assistant. She's not a very good one, but she is my assistant. I come to you every Wednesday night with 3 new project ideas. Usually they're cards. Every now and then I throw something else out there at you, and that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm gonna... Lucy's trying to eat my stuff. So tonight I've got 3 fun cards for you, and I'm excited to share them. Now, while we give everybody a moment to get on here and find me, Lucy likes to give hugs. Thank you, honey. While I give everybody a chance to get on here and find me, I'm just kind of looking on my computer to make sure that I can see it on the big monitor so I can see all your comments, because I do love it when you guys comment. So let's see here. I do love it when you guys comment. Okay. So, perfect. See here. It's on here, and I was able to mute myself so I don't have to listen to myself twice. And it looks like Robin and Kathy are both here. Welcome. Just getting started waiting for everybody here, and Lucy's trying to steal my slipper. Lucy, stop. You know, she was so good last week, and she pretty much slept through my entire life, and I think this week she's going to try to be a bit more involved. That's how we'll say it, involved. She's so sweet when she's sleeping, and really quite the monster when she's not. So let's see. Oh, Marcia just joined us. Welcome, Marcia. Marcia's from Texas. What part of Texas are you in, Marcia? My stepson lives in Austin. He lived in Lubbock for about 2 years, and he just recently moved to Austin with work. So, update on my shoulder. I had physical therapy again this week. I go once a week, and again, the therapist was really happy, and even, he said, even surprised by how well I'm doing, how good my range of motion is. So that's really good. And last week he told me I could start weaning myself off of the sling. So I started doing that, and I was able to go all day without it. And then a couple nights ago, I started sleeping without it. I was a little nervous about that because I sleep weird. I'm a tummy sleeper. I mean, even when I was 900 months pregnant with my children, I slept on my stomach still. And part of that weird, awkward position, I tend to sleep with my arm, you know, up above my head. And I was a little worried about what would happen if I instinctively did that in my sleep. And like the therapist said, you know, if you do and it hurts, it's going to wake you up. So, okay. So a couple nights ago, I went ahead and took off the sling for sleeping, and I've done pretty well. So I'm really pleased with the progress that my shoulder's making. It's doing very well. So I'm happy about that. So yeah, that's about all that's really going on right now, I think. I do have a funny story to tell you guys. So for Christmas, I ordered my son a gaming chair. I mentioned before that when we moved into this house, when he and I moved into this house, I really didn't have much in the way of furniture. And so we've been having to slowly build up. I had a couple of couches and my desk that I do all my stamping and stuff on, and that was kind of pretty much it. So anyway, he would really like a chair for his room, like a desk chair, for when he's working on his computer and such, because right now, without one, he has to sit in bed to do everything. So for Christmas, I ordered him a chair. There was an ad on Facebook, and it was a price I could afford, and so I went ahead and ordered this chair. Well, I thought I was ordering it from like a local domestic company, but it turned out it was from a company in China, so it didn't arrive in time for Christmas. And so on when Christmas came, I showed him the confirmation in my email so he could at least see what it looked like, and then forwarded him the email with the tracking on it, because he's been very eagerly tracking the shipment for, you know, when it was going to come. So it came today, and he and I, I got it and I opened it up. According to the tracking number that was on it, that's how I knew that that's what this was. And I opened it up and it didn't look anything like I expected it to. So, well, let me show you what it looks like. Hang on. So first of all, it came in this box. And you might be thinking, I don't think that a chair would fit in this box. And you would be right. This is what came in this box. It doesn't look like a chair to me. Lift it up a little so you can see. I mean, it's a pretty little set, and if you like steampunk, it's kind of cool. And it's got 5 different tips. It's a fountain pen with 5 different tips. And it's the kind that you have to dip it into the ink. It doesn't have ink bladders that go into it or anything. But it's still not a chair. Not a chair. And we did a little research, and in doing this research, we've kind of come to the conclusion that I was scammed. Hey, Kathy, welcome. That I was scammed, and I will not be getting a refund from them or the chair. And, fortunately, I didn't spend a ton of money on the chair, but, it still was money I would rather not have lost. So I will be calling my bank tomorrow and filing a dispute on it just to see if I can get my money back that way. But, my son and I both needed a really good laugh, and not just like a chuckle, but, just a really good laugh. And we definitely got that out of this. So if I don't get my money back, it kind of still was almost worth it, because we both felt so good after we laughed about this. Because, I mean, what else are you going to do? You could cry, but that doesn't accomplish anything. And, I suppose you could say laughing doesn't either. But laughing has more positive impact on the rest of your day, right? So anyway, yeah. So that's my son's chair. I kept trying to convince him that he should sit on it and see how comfortable it is. And he did not want to take me up on that. So, whatever. So that's my funny story of the day. Let's go ahead. Hey, Sharon, welcome. Let's go ahead and get started. As you guys know, our January through April catalog is well underway. And tonight I am using some sets from that. And then I'm also using some Celebration sets, which is also well underway. Celebration, in case you're new to this, is a campaign that we're doing. We're doing it once this year, and it runs from January 1st, January 5th, I think it was, to the end of February. And there's this great little catalog of about 10 different gifts you can earn for free for every $50 you spend. There are a couple that you have to spend $100 to pick, but they're nice gifts. They're things like stamp sets and packs of designer series paper and things like that. So definitely not something you want to miss out on. So if you have some orders in mind, things that you're wanting to stock up on, now is a great time to place those orders, because you can get these extra free things with your order. So I definitely encourage you to take advantage of that. And if you don't have a demonstrator that you're already working with, I would love to earn your business. When I turn the camera around, you'll be able to see my website, and you can just go there. You can shop online. You can also see my email address in case you have any questions or anything like that. So, so do know that that is available to you as well. But let's go ahead and get started with our weekly drawing. The drawing, as many of you know, comes, hey Judy, welcome. The drawing is for participating in the conversation that's happening here. And, whether you're talking with one another, whether you're asking questions, offering suggestions, anything, even if you kind of like to keep to yourself and all you do is say, hello from Spokane, Washington, because I love to know where people are from, just to see kind of how far my reach is. Even if that's all you do, it counts. If you make a comment in the video, then your name will go into a drawing that I will pull for a couple hours before I go live next week. If you are watching this on a replay, and the way to know is if you're watching on Facebook, if there is a little red like rectangle in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, up that way, I think. See if I did that right. That says live, then you're watching this live. If that is not there, then you are watching a replay, and you can watch replays either here on Facebook or on YouTube. And even if you're watching a replay, be sure to comment, because your comment will still count toward that drawing. So you don't have to be watching the live to get in on there and possibly earn a prize. So let's turn this around. We'll do this week's drawing, and well, I'll let you know who won this week's drawing, and then we'll get started on our cards. Okay, hang on. Get my camera all adjusted here. You know how I have to tinker with it a whole bunch. Hey, Marcia, welcome. Okay, let's see. And of course I'm crooked. I'm always crooked, and it drives me crazy. You guys know that I look at it on my computer, and if it's crooked, then I just go bonkers and I can't handle it. So let's see what we've got here. Teresa just joined us. Welcome, Teresa. Kathy says she's watching from Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Oh, that's cool. I love the internet. I mean, you know, yes, it can be a dangerous place, and some not so happy things can happen. But you know, there's a lot of fun stuff about the internet. A lot of just, you know, a lot of positive things that can happen, and ways you can connect with people that you never could before. And I just absolutely love that. And I just made my screen crooked again, and I need to just get over this and get used to it. Okay, so let's start with card number 1. This card is using the Beautifully Happy stamp set. This is one of the celebration gifts. You can get this for free if you place a $100 order. And then I'm also using watercolor shapes. This set is in our annual catalog. We've had it for a couple years, and I love this stamp set. A lot of people look at it and they're like, well, what all can you do with it? It makes terrific backgrounds, accents, things like that. And you're going to see that with tonight's card. Then we're also using the scalloped contours dies. And then we're also going to use the layering circles. So those are the stamps and dies we're going to use tonight. Let me show you the card we're going to make. We're using the Blackberry Bliss. I love this color. I just think it's so rich and so beautiful. And that white just pops right off of it, doesn't it? So there's our envelope. And then look at the inside. I used the same thing that I did on the front for the inside. So let's go ahead and get started on this card. We'll start with our envelope, as we usually do. There aren't a whole lot of pieces for this card. It comes together pretty easily. Now, when you're using these watercolor backgrounds, or these watercolor shapes stamps, because they are the photopolymer stamps are the ones like this that are see-through. We have some that are made out of the red rubber, and then we have these that are the see-through. When you're using these kind of stamps, it really does work better if you have some sort of a cushiony mat under it. I'm just using our piercing mat. But especially I found with these watercolor shapes, if I don't do that, I end up with spots that don't even get ink when I stamp. It just, I think it's just the nature of that kind of watercolor look that because it doesn't stamp evenly, and it's not supposed to, but because it doesn't, then you end up with those spots. So, so definitely use something for some sort of cushion. Okay, so I just took a piece of scrap paper and I'm sticking it under the flap of my envelope, and I'm using my Blackberry Bliss ink. And I'm taking the large circle from this set, and I'm gonna ink it up. And I want my stamps, I want my images to be varying shades of the color. So because I want now a lighter one, I'm gonna stamp off and stamp it. Oh, I have like a little stringer. It's probably a dog hair. I have dog hair everywhere. Well, it might even be a heather hair. Anyway, so I'm stamping off to get, well, that didn't come out very dark, did it? I'm stamping off because I want to get various shades of the color. See how I'm getting all the different shades? So we're going to do that on the card front as well. But when you are doing it off the edge of your paper like this, you definitely want to re-ink it and then stamp off on your scratch paper. Don't just keep going, because let me show you what happens if you do. See that line? That's where the edge of my envelope was. So you want to re-ink, and if you want a lighter image, stamp off on your scrap paper and then go like that. See? So that's how you do that. Now let's move the envelope out of the way. Set these aside for the moment. We'll get started here. Our card base is just your standard 8.5 by 5.5. It's scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Just a standard card base. Take my bone folder and let's get a nice crisp crease on there. And I just realized we did not do the drawing that I said we were going to do, or at least announce the winner of the drawing. So we'll do that as soon as we finish this card. Don't let me forget. Hey, Susan, welcome. Okay, so let's do the inside of the card first. And what we're going to do here is I'm taking this little stamp. It's probably easier if I show you on the front. I'm taking this little stamp that's like the little splatters. I'm also using, let me find it here. Where are all my little pieces? Okay, now I've got this stamp, which is this flower right here, and this stamp, which is used to color in the flower. And then I have this teeny tiny little one that you can see right there that's actually going to do, is that the stamen of the flower? So we're going to do that on the inside of the card. So let's get started here. I'm going to use black ink to do the outline of the flower. So I'm just using my Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I'm going to put this kind of in a little bit of an angle in the bottom corner there. It's a little higher than I probably should have done it, but that's okay. I'm going to put the lid back on because we don't want it to dry out. Now I'm going to take the one that fills in the color of the flower, and I got to remember which direction it goes. I remember I had to really play with it. There we go. I had to really play with it when I did my sample one because I couldn't figure out which way it goes. So then it just lines up perfectly with your flower. And because the stamps are see-through, the photopolymer stamps are, I don't know how well you can see it, but I'm able to see through it and line it right up with the outline of the flower. See how that just fit in there so perfectly? Then I'm going to take my little splatters and just kind of put a few right there like that. And then I've got some crushed curry, and I'm going to do that little stamen. Reminds me of the carrot on a snowman's nose. And I just line it right up because I can see through the stamp. And there we go. Doesn't that just turn out beautiful? See how simple that was? And you can get this stamp set for free, remember, because it's one of the sets available through Celebration. So let's go ahead and glue this in. I'm using my Stampin' Seal Plus. This is kind of my go-to adhesive for big pieces like this. We have a lot of different kinds of adhesive, and those of you who've followed me for a while know that I kind of use them all. Okay, so there we go. There's the inside of our card. Quick and easy, right? Now let's go ahead and do the front. So for this front piece now, we're going back to our circle. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp once, twice, 3 times. See, and now I got 3 different shades of the circle there. Clean off my stamp. I'm sorry that my table jiggles whenever I do that. Okay, so I'm going to get my black ink back out again. And this technique that I'm doing, I don't know if you want to call it a technique, I guess, but This is actually one of my favorite things to do with this stamp set, where I just do a few random shapes like that, and then take black ink and some sort of an image that's an outline image like this. Now, remember, this set, it comes with, we're using this stamp set, this stamp, but then there's also these stamps that you can use to color in the different parts. We're not going to use that tonight, but it is kind of fun that that's available. Okay, so I'm just inking up my stamp really well. And I'm just going to stamp right over my little circles. You know what's funny is I made a big deal about telling you guys about using a mat when you do your circles, and then I didn't, and they turned out fine. That is not always the case, so I do recommend that you use some sort of cushion when you're stamping. Maybe it's because my pad of paper acts as a cushion, I don't know. Okay, so put the ink pad on, back on. And then one more thing I want to stamp, actually maybe I'll wait to stamp it until I'm ready. Okay, so I've got this piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of our black and white check gingham ribbon. I have two pieces here. One's a little longer than the other, so I want to use the shorter one for this part because I want to give myself as much ribbon as I can in order to create my bow in a minute. So I'm trying to find a space. I think I'm going to use this hole right this level because I want it to come across right through there. It's going to kind of like I'm tying a bow around the flowers. So now let's put that through. And we're just going to tape this onto the back, just like that. So let me move some of this stuff out of my way over here in my little bin of supplies. This is my tear and tape, and this is what I usually use when I tape my ribbon down in the back like this. It's not going to show. It works really well. It's a nice strong adhesive, and I have it handy. Okay, so now there we go. Both sides are taped on now, so now it goes around the front. And we're going to set this little ribbon aside for a moment. I have a little circle with kind of scalloped edges that I cut out, or I used the layering circles. And I have a little tiny sentiment. This set has several sentiments in it. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sentiments in it, which is really nice. Makes it very versatile. Okay, so the one I'm using is this one that says kindness matters. And I love that. I love that sentiment. I think, you know, it would make a great thank you card, but it also could be just a just because card, right? For someone that you care about, to tell them that you think they're kind. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this on, and I'm stamping it kind of toward the bottom of my circle. Right there. There we go. And now I'm going to close my ink pad because I'm not going to use the ink anymore, and I don't want to do something dangerous with it. That's so funny. I just saw Teresa's comment that she was wondering why I was stamping off. Well, now you know. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I have a little bit of my ribbon, and I'm going to tie a little bow. And now I'm going to fiddle with the little bow. Okay, let's see here. Just kind of want to make sure that it lays right and it's not all twisty and turny, you know. And, well, not too bad on the first try. I didn't even have to fiddle with it all that much. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my snips, and I'm going to just trim off some of this extra here. And I'm going to take a Stampin' Dot, or a glue dot, and I just set the bow on there, press it down, get that little glue dot stuck nice, And then I can just peel it right off of the background paper or the release paper. And I'm gonna put it right here on my circle. And then we're going to take a few dimensionals, put them on the back. We're going to be very, very tricky with this one. We're going to make it look like we tied a bow with that, you know, tied the gingham ribbon, wrapped it around and tied a bow, but we cheated. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I can sleep tonight with that. Okay, so now I'm going to put it on here, kind of line it up so that the center of the knot of my bow is in the center of that ribbon that's going across, because then that adds to making it look like you actually tied, like you pulled it through and tied a bow. So we've got that. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I have my classic matte dots, and I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm just going to put a few of these dots on the card. Let's see where I want to put them. Maybe one right there. And oops. Let's see. Put one there. And trying to figure out where I want to do these. One more little one, maybe right about there. That works. And now we're just going to glue this onto the front of our card, and this card is done. See how simple that was? And I think it looks really classy. What the heck? Oh, there was like some lump, and I couldn't figure out why it was, what was going on. I was trying to put glue over one of the black dots. Okay, so line this up in the center. And there we go. All done with our envelope. What do you guys think of that one? I really like it. I like that it's nice and simple and it's quick, but it's still pretty classy looking. I love that. Okay, are you guys ready for, before card number 2. So this week's winner of our drawing for participating in the conversation is going to receive the Fine Sparkle adhesive backed gems. I really like these because I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but they're flat, so they don't add a lot of bulk to your card. And this week's winner is Carla Branton. Carla, I don't think that I have your mailing address, so if you will contact me, you can email me at stamphappenings@gmail.com, or just send me a private message here on Facebook. Then I can pop this in the mail to you, because I do need your address to do that. Oh, I see that Mary has joined us. Welcome, Mary. Okay, so our next card, this one, some of you might recall in our winter catalog, what was it, July through December. Okay, I'm crooked again, you guys. I can't handle it. Let's see here. See if that helps. A little bit. It's better. It's better. Okay, so anyway, in that catalog, there was an adorable gnomes set. I think it was called Friendliest Gnomes or something like that. And it was a huge hit. People loved it. And there were dies. They came out with dies that go with those stamps. Okay. Well, now that catalog's retired. Those stamps have retired. In the new January through April catalog, they brought out another gnomes set. Friendly Gnomes. These guys are just so adorable. I love them. I want to squeeze them and hug them. And the dies that fit, the dies that worked with the stamp set in the winter catalog also work with this. Now, there are some things like, for example, the mushroom here, you know, that doesn't, that stamp isn't in here, but you could create the mushroom using colored cardstock. It works for the different gnomes. So it still does work. These dies do still work with this set. So if you already have the other gnomes, you can get this set as well and use the same dies, and that's kind of cool. So the card we're making with the gnomes is this one. Isn't he adorable? And this is our, oh, hang on. Country Floral Lane is the name of the designer series paper. And it looks a little Valentine-y because of the hearts. And it is in the Valentine section of the January through April catalog. However, there are a lot of pieces that the designs are not Valentine-y. So you could use it year round. But this is the card. And one thing I do want to point out to you is after I made this, I realized that this twine that I used is retired. And I don't like to show you guys stuff with retired products that you can't get anymore. So we're going to do this piece just a little different when we make it together because I want to use a current product. So let's go ahead and get started. Get all the pieces out. Clean up a little bit from the last card. Okay, start with our envelope. And for this one, I just have a strip of the Garden Green designer series paper from our Regals designer series paper pack. And that's kind of fun because you get like 4 different designs, but all the colors in that color family, which is really nice. So we're going to go ahead and put a little glue on here. Remember, a little goes a long way. If it comes out of the tube, be careful if it's sticking like it is now, because if you squeeze too hard, all of a sudden it will all come rushing out at you. Sometimes I just have like a little glue booger in there. Okay, I'm calling out the big guns. Somewhere here I have a safety pin that I can use to poke into the end there to kind of push out whatever is blocking it. Now, for this step that I'm doing where I am gluing the strip of cards or of designer series paper onto the envelope flap, I do like to use this liquid glue. I prefer to because I can get the glue all the way to the edges so that it stays on there well. But also because I can lay it on there, and then if I need to wiggle it around a little bit to make it lay right, I can. Now, there we go. See how it just, look, it like kind of threw up on it. Let's just spread that out a little bit. That's why you want to be careful squeezing it. And if you do get a big blob like that, just take your finger or a brush or, you know, whatever, and spread it out so that you don't have a big wet glob in one spot, because it will cause your paper to warp if it's too wet in a section. Like right here, I think I have a little too much glue. So I just took my finger and I spread it out over more of the section. Okay, now I'm just gonna lay this over just like so. Line it up so that the top is even with the top of your envelope. Can you guys hear that dog barking? I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. My neighbor has a few dogs, but one of them is like Lucy's boyfriend or something. And she gets so excited when he comes outside. She sees their back light come on and she knows that that means he might be coming out. And it's so cute. And he has actually gotten to where he starts, when he comes out, he starts barking for her until she comes out. It's the cutest little thing. So we really need to try to get the two of them together to play. Okay, so there's my envelope. Put that aside. Turn off my little space heater. Okay, now, again, this one has just your standard card base, 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches. It's a half of a sheet of our cardstock. And it's scored at 4 1/4, which is right in half. Oh, there's my bone folder. Is that your boyfriend out there, Lucy? Okay, so we've got our card base ready. Let's go ahead and start with the inside of our card. I'm going to lay it out so that I can remember what I did. So I've got this little strip that coordinates with the flap on the envelope. And I'm using liquid glue on this piece. Again, the reason that I'm using the liquid glue is because then when I lay it down on my piece of cardstock, I can kind of move it around a little bit to make sure that it's positioned evenly and not crooked, which it typically ends up crooked anyway because I think it's even and it's not. But you can see how it allows me to kind of wiggle a little bit. And I'm leaving a little bit of the white edge there. And so I do want to be able to straighten it out to try to make sure that that's fairly even. One little tip I have for you: when you do strips like this, go ahead and cut them a little bit longer than what you need, because then you can just trim off the extra there. Did this one crooked? Because there's nothing worse than it being just slightly too short. Okay, now find my stamps. Got this one that says there's no one better. I'll show you here. There's no one better than you. And then I'm going to use the little squirrel as well. So let me find my squirrel. There he is. Now what I should have done is do my stamping before I glued that strip on, because if I make a mistake or, you know, it looks bad or something, I could just flip it over if I haven't glued stuff all over it. If I make a mistake at this point, then that means I kind of have to start over. I mean, I could still flip it over, I guess, but okay. Now for my little squirrel. Boy, it's really warm in here. I'm going to use, excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to use my soft suede ink because I didn't want to use the early espresso because it's just a little bit darker than what I wanted. It almost looks black, and I really wanted this to look very brown. Then I'm also going to use one of my blender pens. I can never remember what these guys are called. So I'm going to take my little squirrel and stamp him kind of down in the corner here. Clean off my stamp. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blender pen and just kind of go over these pieces. And you can see it's picking up just a tiny little bit of color from the ink. See how it's, oh, there's a little bit of brown there compared to over here. So I'm going to do that over here as well. So it gives me just a little bit of light color, but then I want to introduce a little bit of shading. So let me show you how I got the ink in the lid of my pad. Flip it over upside down and then give it some CPR. It works better if you're standing up. And now you have ink in your lid. You can pick up the ink with your pen. Now I didn't want it to be too dark, so I scribbled a little bit on my scratch paper. See, even that seems a little dark. And I just kind of blend it out. And it's just giving me a little bit more color here. Can you go, Dashy? I was just talking to my son. Okay. Now I don't like how the shading on this one turned out quite as well as I like my other one. But you know, that's kind of one of the nice things about this is they're all going to be different and unique. There we go. There, that's a little better. Gives them a little bit of shading. And then just scribble on your scratch paper to make sure you get all the extra ink off of the tip of the blender pen. And now we'll just glue that to the inside of the card. Oh, yep, Lucy's boyfriend's calling to her. Hang on a second here, Lucy. And just line this up on the inside. There we go. And then let out your dog. Hang on. Go get him, Lucy. Okay. Make sure my borders are relatively the same all the way around. I'm having some trouble tonight with this, with my adhesive. Okay, so I'm going to center this onto the card front. And now I've got all these little pieces. Okay, I saved this because I wanted to show you guys. So my little gnome, you can see the one on the card, I gave him a green shirt because I started out thinking, okay, I'll use the pale papaya to go with this cardstock or designer series paper and the mat that I have here. It ends up looking like he's wearing nothing but his hat and his boots. That's a whole different occasion for a card. So, yeah, so I thought that was funny and I thought I'd share that with you. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the black Memento ink again, and let's move these out of the way before I lose them. And we're going to stamp him. This is just a scrap of white paper. There we go. Whoops, I didn't mean to clean that off because I have one other thing I want to do. So this is just a scrap of the designer series paper that matches what we've already put on our card. And see how, it's easier to see that. See how he has that little heart that he's holding? Well, I'm going to stamp this so that that heart is over one of these hearts. And I don't need all of him because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut that heart out after I've colored him. I'm going to cut that heart out and glue it onto it so he's holding a heart that matches the background of our card. So let's get started on coloring him. I've got all my Stampin' Blends here, and like every color known to man. Lots of colors, right? So the first thing, let's start with his beard. And this is the light smoky slate. And let's see here. I'm going to use my brush tip on this. And I'm just going over these little lines that Stampin' Up! Has already created for us to give it the look of some shading. Okay, maybe a little right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my color lifter. The color lifter is clear. It works great with your watercolor pencils, by the way. But what it also does is it lifts some of this color off. So maybe if you colored something and it was maybe a little brighter, a little darker, you know, just more intense color than what you wanted, you could go over it with your color lifter and it would take some of that off. But what I'm using it for right now is I'm using it to kind of blend in some of that gray from his beard so that it isn't a real solid gray, but it just gives it a little shading. Now, my original one, I didn't color quite so much, so there's a lot more white to it. I may go back and add a little bit of the gray once that dries a little bit, layer on a little of that color. We'll see. Then I also have, make sure I'm grabbing the right ones. Okay, we have some of our we have a naturals line of blender pens, and they range in everything from this 1000. We have one that's ivory, and that's what color it is. Everything from the 1000 down to the 100, and then we also have a bronze one. But these are the different shades of the naturals ones. I made this little cheat sheet for myself, and I would encourage you, if you buy them, I'd encourage you to do the same. I keep all my blender pens in Stampin' Blends in drawers by color family. And so in the drawer that I keep these, I just keep this little cheat sheet in there. So when I know that I'm wanting like a skin tone or you know, one of these colors, I can just pull out my cheat sheet and see which color is closest to what I need. And I've already gotten it all written down. So I am using the 1000 and the 900. The 1000 is a little bit pinker. So I'm going to start, actually I'm going to start with the 900 and do just a little bit of shading here on the side. Then I'm going to take my 1000, that's the one that's a little bit pinker, and just kind of blend that color over. So we have just a little bit of shading on his nose. Then I have our light black. That cracks me up, light black. Okay, whatever. And I'm gonna color his little boots. Is this the light black? Nope, that's the light smoky slate. This is the light black. There we go, that's better. And I'm just going to color in his little boots this way. There we go. And his hat, I used 3 different shades of red for his hat. I have the light and dark of the Sweet Sorbet. Whoops, these two are the light and dark of Sweet Sorbet. And then I also have, this is our light cherry cobbler. And that just helped to give me a little bit more accent. So like that. And then we'll take a little bit of the cherry cobbler and go over those spots. Just kind of off to the side here where I want just a little bit more shading. And now I'm going to take the light Sweet Sorbet and fill in the rest of the hat. Trying to make sure I stay in the lines. And you'll be able to see the shading a little bit better as it dries. The ink soaks into the paper and you can just see it a little bit better. I just wanted to use a little bit more of this cherry cobbler on these areas where I wanted some shade too. Okay, now we're going to go ahead. Oh, and I did his mittens too. I used the dark Sweet Sorbet on his little mittens. And they're so small, I didn't worry about doing any shading. I mean, I could, I guess, but I didn't. And now we're going to give him a shirt because we don't want a naked gnome. So for this, what I did is the color of our cardstock. This is Garden Green, but we don't make a Garden Green Stampin' Blend marker. So what I did is I started with my dark Old Olive. I'm going to just color that in real quick. Okay, and then I'm taking my light shaded spruce. The shaded spruce, it doesn't look like it from the cap or the color cap. Let me show you here. It's a very vibrant green, a lot like a Kelly green. So then what I did is I went over the Old Olive with the shaded spruce. And look at that, the two colors together now match my green background a little bit better, my green card. So now we have this little guy. Let's go ahead and cut out the little heart. This or who here. Just turned off my Wi-Fi, so hopefully that helps. I apologize if you guys were flickering in and out. Okay, so now I need to get my die cutting machine. Hold on just a moment. So this is my little mini one. I should put away some of these pens since I'm done with them. By the way, if you are interested in signing up with Stampin' Up!, and we have lots of different reasons to sign up. There are people who like to do what I do and want to make a business out of it. There are people who just want to get the discount on the products. Or there's people who just want to get the kit because it is a very amazing kit and never do anything with it. Any of those is okay to do. Stampin' Up! Encourages all different reasons. So if you are interested in signing up during Celebration, we've got, we normally have a great kit. It's $99. You get to pick $125 worth of products of your choice in your kit. And then you also get a free paper pumpkin kit. You get free shipping on the kit. And you get some catalogs and things like that. $99. And it's about $150, $175 worth of products. During Celebration, you can pick that kit, or you can spend $129, so only $30 more, and get $175 worth of the products instead of $125. And you also get one of the mini cutting and embossing machines. There's a special one just for Celebration. You can choose this white one like I have, or you can choose one that is called Boho Blue, and it's really, really pretty. It's kind of like a cornflower blue, but maybe a little bit brighter. It's a neat color. Anyway, so for $129, you would get $175 worth of products of your choice, plus the free paper pumpkin kit, plus the free shipping, plus the catalogs and all that kind of thing, plus the cutting and embossing machine. So if for no other reason, that's the best deal around, even if you choose to do nothing with it after you buy your kit. People do that, and Stampin' Up! Doesn't have a problem with it. Okay, so let's cut out our little gnome. Okay, gotta remember which one it was. I think, yep, it's this guy. You want it back out, pick one. Oh, that dog, in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay, so when I have a specific shape like this that I am cutting out with a die cut, I like to take some of my sticky tape. It's just the 3M Post-it tape. There we go. And I line up my die, figure out where I want it, and then I put the tape over it just to hold it in place so it doesn't wiggle around on me, and then cut my image wrong. Then you just feed it through just like this. Is the sound still going in and out, you guys? Or has it resolved itself since I went off of my Wi-Fi? This just peels right off because it's just sticky note. Oh, it took a piece of my heart with it, like literally. Well, poo, took off. So maybe if you do this, put the heart on after you cut out your little guy. That would be my suggestion. Okay, let's get this out of the way here. And now let's put together the rest of the card. So I've got these pieces right here. I'm just gonna glue them together. I wanna have a little wiggle room because the mat on here is very fine. And, ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go like this and get some of that extra glue off. There we go. And now I'm gonna line this up, but I wanted the liquid glue because my mat is so fine. In fact, I don't think I cut this right. So I need to trim a little bit off. Hold on. Okay, I didn't cut it the right size. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is you want to use the liquid glue because I want to be able to you know, wiggle it around a little bit. Of course, I've had to fiddle with it for a little bit, and it's already started to get tacky, so it's not going to wiggle like it normally does. Okay, so there we have that. And then I'm going to take what I chose to try with this card. Remember I said that the green twine that I used is retired. So this is, what's it called? Can't think of what this particular ribbon is called. Let me look really quick so I can tell you, because I really like it. I think it's pretty, but I could see it working well in a casual type of card, but also, you know, if you wanted to dress it up a little bit. And it's this, comes in a pack. It's red and burlap ribbon. So you get a roll of the burlap and a roll of the red. For $9. That's not a bad price for 2 rolls of ribbon. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do a cheat bow again like we did on the other card. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this around and tape it to the back, and then we'll just tie a bow that we can then glue on the front. Does that work for you? That works for me. Oops. What is wrong with me? There we go. We'll take this one, get a little bit of tape. Okay, so now we have that. Now what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and do our bow. So I'm just going to take a little bit of ribbon here. Hold on, Lucy. And now, of course, I have to fiddle with my bow. It's kind of twisty there, and I don't like that. Maybe if I twist this bit around. Oh, nope, that's the piece that I want to twist. So, there we go. There. Now it's starting to cooperate a little bit. And I don't want a super huge bow either. There. So, yeah, that looks like it'll work. So, take my there we go. And now we're going to do the same thing to stick this bow on there as I did before. Hold on, gotta let in the dog. The only thing I don't like about doing this is it doesn't look like it was tied if you don't pinch that together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little glue dot and what I'm going to do, where I want to put my bow, I'm going to put my glue dot on the back side of my ribbon, and I don't have it. I seem to have lost it. Oh, it's on my thumb. Huh? Okay, Heather. And then I'm going to kind of pinch my ribbon together like that, because then when I lay my bow down on it, it's going to look like it was pulled together to be tied. See what I mean? So let's go ahead and get some glue dots here. I think I'm going to put 2 glue dots on this, just because it is a little bit bigger bow. It's a little bit heavier. So I want just a little bit more adhesive to make sure that it stays put. And I'm just going to do it right over where I did that pinch in the center. I do not like how that's... I don't like how it's kind of bunching up there. What should I do with my take your pick tool? Well, it's around here somewhere. Take your pick tool is great for things like this where you kind of got to pull something out like this and your fingers are just a little too big for it. Okay, I'm going to leave it because it's just going to drive me crazy if I don't. Of course, it's going to drive me crazy if I leave it too. So, you know, either way. Okay, so I do kind of like that ribbon though with that. Now we're going to take our little Nomi guy and I'm going to put some foam adhesive strips on the back of him. And the reason I'm using the strips is because I don't want there to be, I want it to lay flat on either side of this ribbon. So if I use these strips, then I know that it won't get in the way of the ribbon. So now I'll take my snips and I'll cut this little strip. I'm going to do one on the other side of him as well. The other nice thing about these strips is you can kind of move it, see how it's not straight, so you can get it to the shape that you want it. That's why it works really well with shaker cards. Like if you have a round window for your shaker card, I really like these. Okay. Okay, now let's go ahead and pull the release tape off the back of it, and we're going to place him just like that. See, straight. And now we're just going to glue him to the card. So I've got my adhesive here. There's kind of a lot of weight on this, so I'm putting a little extra adhesive on the back here just so I can really stick it down well. So I'm lining this up with the piece of Designer Series paper so that you can still see that pale papaya mat that's behind it. Line it up. There we go. Fiddle with the bow some more because you can't leave it alone. And there we go. What do you think? So we've got it with the green twine and the burlap ribbon. I really like it with the burlap ribbon, you know, if that bow was straight. Okay, so let's put this away and get going on our next card. Put some stuff away here. Ooh, I'm making a good mess tonight. Oops. Get all my little pieces on there so I don't lose them. I want them to be nice and tight on that magnet. There we go. Okay. And finally, we're ready for our last card. This last card goes pretty quick as well. For this card, we're using the Desert Details bundle. This actually has a whole suite available with some pretty amazing paper. Let me show it to you. Okay, so this is the Delicate Desert Designer Series paper that goes with this suite. So there's the stamps and the dies. And then this paper, I'm just going to show it to you really quick because it's just beautiful. So each design, on one side it's kind of something like this where it's a little more of an abstract sort of thing. Well, this one has the abstract on the back as well, I guess. There's this. I love this. There's the back. This one. And the back has some little dots on there. This one, this is kind of a fun pattern. And the back. And then finally, oh, not finally, there's a couple here. Got this one and the back. And this one, I love this one too. And the back. Isn't that beautiful? So this is called Delicate Desert Designer Series paper, and it goes with the Desert Details suite. You can buy the products individually or as a suite where you get all the things that go with it. And it is in the January through April mini catalog. Tonight, though, we're just just using these, and we're going to actually be using our brushed metallic designer series paper, which is another gorgeous, gorgeous paper, as you are about to see. Isn't that beautiful? So this is the card we're going to make. Let's go ahead and get started. And for this one, instead of using basic white, I went ahead and I used our Very Vanilla and a Very Vanilla envelope as well. Okay, so this one should come together pretty darn quick. Start with our envelope here. And where is it? There it is. I'm going to put some glue, see if we can get my glue to come out without doing a big blob like it's been doing all night. There we go. And just around the edge. Oops, I went off the edge. That's okay. Once that dries, I just use my adhesive eraser, which is a sand eraser. No, I'm lying, that's a different product. My adhesive eraser will get that glue off even after it's dried. And that is not a Stampin' Up! Product. I just bought that on Amazon. I'm doing this just to spread that glue so that it doesn't get everywhere, because I did get it a little thick there. Lay this on, line it up. Okay, now we're going to trim off the extra here. There we go. And now our envelope is in. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. Okay, now got our basic card base, same thing we've been doing all night with the 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. You know what? Okay, we're okay. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pieces here. I've got a piece of our Balmy Blue and our metallic paper. And actually, let's go ahead and do the inside of the card first. And for this, I need to get out my, oh, why can't I think of what it's called? It is called, oh, I don't know. Someone tell me what it's called. Oh, Susan, I'm sorry that the connection is so bad tonight. Okay, so this is a stamp positioner so that you can line things up the way you want them. What I do is I take my cardstock and I put a little bit of adhesive on the back of it because I want it to stay put. And I line mine up with that little corner right there, okay? Now what you do, I'm trying to get this lined up, there we go, is you take your stamp and, well, I'll just show you because it's easy to do. And you position it right where you would want it to stamp on your paper, just like that, with the sticky side up. And then instead of putting it on a block, you're going to fold this down. It's going to stick to this. And now, every time you stamp it, it's going to stamp it in the right spot. So I'm going to take my Balmy Blue ink. Ooh, and ink up the stamp. So I'm just going to go like this. And I'm going to bring it down and stamp right there on the paper. This is just an air hockey puck. Not puck, but paddle. And I just use it so that I can make sure to rub everything the way I want it. Oh, see, it's a little bit over off the edge there. But you know what? I'll just trim that off. That's not a big deal. Now I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to line it up again. Now I don't need to line the stamp up again. I just put my paper back in the exact same spot. And it's going to stamp it where I want it. So ink up the stamp. Okay. You can see again, of course, because I didn't move the stamp, I've got that little edge there. So now I'm going to take my chamois and I'm just going to rub this with this to clean off my stamp. And for now, I'm just going to leave it there, and I'll put it away later. There. This works really great with the background stamps that are so big. Because the other nice thing is if you did get enough ink on it, you just re-ink it, do it again, and it'll stamp it in the exact same spot. So hang on, I'm going to trim off these edges. There, so I just cut that tiny little bit off the edges so that it went all the way across and I didn't have that little gap. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I have this die cut, I already cut it out. And let me show you. I think this is supposed to be like a cactus of some sort, but I liked it. I wanted it to color coordinate, so I did it in the pale papaya, and I can make my cactuses whatever color I want. So then the other thing I did is I took my dark pale papaya Stampin' Blend marker. Oops, let me put my magnets away here. And I just took the brush tip and I just did some random lines like this. I didn't color the whole thing, and it's because I just wanted it to have a little bit of shading here and there so that it wasn't just so flat looking. And now what I'm going to do is take my liquid glue and I'm just going to put little dots of glue on here. See how I'm just putting them right in these spots that are just a little bit bigger. And now I'm just going to lay it down right here. There. So let's go ahead and glue this to the inside of our card. And I never did. What did I do with my card? Oh, here it is. Here it is. It was hiding. And we're just going to go ahead and glue this to the inside. There we go. Now we just have a little bit more stamping to do. I have just a scrap of Very Vanilla, and we're going to stamp the flower. We're going to cut this out, or use a die cut to get that out. So we've got the flower there. My chamois is a little bit dry. I should have gotten it wet before I went live tonight, so it's not cleaning off my stamp quite as easily as it normally does. I love this chamois though. It is the best way to clean off your stamps. It's just nice and quick and easy. I love it. Okay, the other stamping that we're going to do, let's go ahead and do that now. I have this little strip. It's just like a ½ an inch, maybe a little less than a half. Yeah, just a tiny bit less than a half. It was a scrap that I had. And I've got the sentiment, Your Smile is Pure Magic. It's part of this stamp set as well. Ink it up, and I'm just going to stamp it right here in the center. There we go. Now put the ink away, put away my cutting and embossing machine, and I still need it. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out because then I can use my little machine. Move that so I don't lose it. Get my dies out. I love this faux frame. Well, I mean, it could be a regular frame too, but I use it on this. I used it on this card as like kind of faux frame. All right, so now I'm going to use this is just my Post-it tape that I used before. You can reuse it. You can usually use it a few times before you need to replace it. Get this lined up right where I want it. I don't think it's quite lined up. There we go. That looks pretty okay. So tape it on there and feed it through. Sorry about the shaking. Stamparatus. Thank you, Judy. That was driving me crazy trying to remember what that was called. The Stamparatus is the tool that I was just using to stamp that had the panels that folded over. Okay, see, there we go. Beautiful little flower. Let's put away my pieces here. And now we can just piece the card together. So I've got these two pieces. We're going to glue them together. This beautiful metallic paper. And then we're just going to glue this right onto the card. There we go. And now here's the frame that it's kind of got a little banged up and on my desk here. And we're just going to glue it right on here. We're going to use those foam adhesive strips again. There we go. And if you don't use an entire strip, it just goes right back on that pack to finish it off later so you don't have to waste it. Okay. Now peel off this backing here. And we're just going to center it on the card as if it's actually framing something. Which is why I called it a faux frame, because it's not really framing anything. Oops, there we go. Oops, the little dots didn't get punched out there. Okay, so now it looks like that. Looks like it's about centered. So we'll lay it down. And now we just need to glue these pieces on. So first, I shouldn't have put this away, but first we're going to take the flower. Where's the flower? And we're only putting the adhesive on the top part of it because the bottom part of it is going to stick to that frame. And let me show you, actually for that I did not use the strip, so let me show you what let's do this one first and then I'll show you what I did use. Just need a little bit of this. Figure out where my sticky side is there. And I'm not going all the way over because these edges are going to stick to that. So maybe a little bit right there. Oops, Lucy's boyfriend's back. pull off the release tape if you can. And you just kind of put it like this. Now it looks like I did get it too far, so I'm going to need to peel some of this off. Hasn't been pushed down too hard, so it comes off pretty easily. But even if it didn't, if it tore off the paper just a little bit, you'd still be okay. Okay, before, well, we can lay this down like that. See how it just kind of goes like that? Now, before we put the flower on, I have my iridescent pastel gems. They come, you've got the blue and the kind of, I don't know, orangish sort of. And then this one, which, you know, it's not quite white, but it works really well with this pale papaya. So for this, what I did is I took these smaller ones and I put one on each of these little cutouts. And the reason I'm doing it now, because, you know, usually I do my embellishments last, but the reason I'm doing it now is because then when we lay down the rose, if the flower covers up part of it, that's okay. But we don't have to worry about how are we getting it on now because the flower is covering part of it, part of the whole. So let's put these away. Now I have these little chunks. You know, I like my foam adhesive sheets. They come in a sheet this size. What's that? Probably 5 by 5. Yeah, it's about 4.5 by 4.5. And, you know, I usually cut it down to fit what I'm working on. So I end up with little pieces left. So I just am taking some of these little pieces, make sure I'm doing this right. Now, I needed to put 2 layers of this to make it thick enough. If I only put one, then it kind of dents down. It looked kind of weird. So I'm just putting another layer on here. So I'm putting 2 levels of the adhesive there. And then just a little bit of liquid glue along the bottom because it's going to stick on the bottom there. Just a little bit. And then line it up however you want it. See how that covers up just a part of that little gem? That's why we did those first. And there you go. There's card number 3. And the inside. What do you think? So let's go ahead and clean up the mess here, and we'll take a quick look at the cards that we already made. Oh, see, remember I said I had glue on there and it dried? Yeah. So I'm just going to take my adhesive eraser. Well, I know it's in here somewhere. Well, I don't know where it is at the moment. I'm not going to worry about it right now. But anyway, clean up the mess, and then we will take a peek at everything that we made tonight. Oh, those dogs, they so desperately want to, like, get together and play. Okay. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed what we did tonight. I had fun making them. Hold on here. If you also enjoyed tonight, I would love it if you would do thumbs up, the hearts, the likes, all the things. That's what tells the algorithm to put my video out there that people might enjoy it. And of course, if you share the video, that really helps me out. Just gets my name out there to other people so that I can hopefully grow my business. And whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, remember to leave a comment so that you get put into next week's drawing. So we've got that card right there that we just made. We also have our little gnome make sure I show the one we actually made. Got our little gnome there. And then, of course, this one with the multiple shades of one color. So I really enjoyed making these. I hope that you enjoyed them as well. Teresa says she misses that Lucy doesn't come up to my workspace to help. You know, Teresa, I don't. She likes to eat everything. And yeah, she would end up eating something. My son is trying to get her to at least put her nose on my desk so that you can see it. At the very beginning of this video, though, she was, oh, not with her dirty paws, honey. Just stick her face under there. Yeah, he's trying to put her face in there, but it's just not working. Just the, oh, there you go. There, you got to see the dirty paws. Anyway, if you would like to place an order, oh, there we go. We can see her. If you would like to place an order to take advantage of the Celebration special that's going on, or to purchase any of the stuff in the new catalog or even the stuff that's in our annual catalog, I would love to earn your business, and you can shop at my online store at heathersides.stampinup.net. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, things you would like to see me demonstrate, email me at stamphappenings@gmail.com or send me a message here on Facebook. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what your questions are, any of that, and I'm happy to help. Lucy, Teresa says you're gorgeous. She doesn't know what a monster you really are, though. Last week she was so good she slept through my whole live, and I wasn't quite sure she'd do the same tonight, and she didn't. Anyway, if you do place an order, it would help me a lot if you could use this host code. If your order is under $150, use the code. But if your order is over $150, please don't use the code. You'll have some additional gifts coming to you from Stampin' Up! Besides just the celebration gifts. And I want to make sure that you're the one that gets them. So if your order is under $150, use that. If it's over $150, don't use it. Thank you for being here and joining me tonight. This is the best part of my week. And I will see you here next Wednesday. Same time, same place, 6:30 p.m. here on Facebook. Have a good week, guys.